Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and today Eitan and I are here to share with you how to let your inner work be the magnet. As we mentioned a few weeks ago, this whole month is full of support from the universe to have us experience a completely different reality than we've experienced in the past, to literally create a break from the old and to allow a new version of ourselves, a completely different version of ourselves to emerge. And I've heard from a lot of people that's confusing because I live in the same house, I have the same job, my family is the same, and my struggles seem to be the same. So how can we be completely different if everything around us appears not to have changed with us? So we'll break that down today and share more guidance and tips on how to really allow our focus to shift our reality. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual forecast where we provide our listeners with the most practical and powerful tools to navigate the coming 7 days. We do that by gleaning through the wisdom of Kabbalah so that every episode ends up offering wisdom and tools that are not only powerful and effective for this week, but they're useful for any week at any time. And again, in this journey of Abraham from the weekly portion, as well as the influence of Scorpio giving us that intensity, intense focus, intense desire, we want to make sure that we harness that so that we can begin to see also not only the internal growth and transformation, but also the results outside of us. The miracles, the blessings, the goodness will come to meet us where we're at instead of us chasing it. So Eitan, when you think about what's really in store for us this week, what the great opportunity is, what comes to you first?
It's interesting. Very often we would say, if you run after external success, external love, I'll find my soulmate by going to so many apps and dating opportunities, and without spiritual growth, it will never last. But at the same time, and that's what I would like, and both of us actually spoke about it before, I would like to state, if you're only doing your spiritual work and you don't see transformation in your physical world, in your emotional state, in your physical reality, in your work reality, in your relationship reality, then something is not aligned as well. So the main thing we would love to speak to them, to open, at least to make us think, is what is the inner transformations that we need to go through in order to see external changes and blessings. And I would like to start, what is the definition of something that you manifest in a physical level that you call it a blessing? What's the definition of that? I got a new job, or I found my soulmate. Sometimes it doesn't work. How do you define it as a blessing? Or maybe you're just blinded. You bought a house, you thought it's an amazing deal, and it's an amazing house, you love, but then there's only chaos in that house. So how do you define when you have physical manifestation in your life that it's a blessing? And then what is the spiritual work that we need to do in order to allow those blessings in our life? So in this portion, I'd love to start with that. In this portion, there's a story of Abram buying piece of land, a plot, to bury his wife Sarah after she passed away. And he came to the owner, his name was Ephron, and said, I would love to buy this piece of land from you. And Ephron said, yes, of course, and they agreed for 400 shekel, which was not necessarily a lot. And the Zohar states a powerful statement. It says, if Ephron would see the light and the value of that plot, of that cave that later on Abram bought and buried his wife, which, by the way, is the same place Adam and Eve were buried. If Ephron, the owner of the cave, would see the value like Abram, he would have never sell it. Why only Abram? So light, there's so much energy. He saw that that cave is the bridge between the physical world and the metaphysical world. He saw that this is essential place for the rest of humanity to connect with the light of the Creator. Then the Zohar answer, why Ephron didn't see and Abram saw? Because it belonged to Abram. Which tells us, in this physical world, the definition of a blessing is how you want to attract that house that belonged to you. It means we're not just acquiring things and because they have some money value, it's a no. The only way a blessing would last, the only way good energy will be with acquisition, with partnership, with marriages, with closing deals, in every aspect of our life, if it belongs to our soul. Even studying Kabbalah. There's some people who might, the spiritual path of transformation is not through the path of Kabbalah. Some souls, the teachings belong to them. And that's the reason they're supposed to pursue it. So, first, the definition of a blessing in the physical world is something that belongs to my soul, to my frequency, to my tikkun, to my growth, to my life. Is it possible that, certain apartment belong to you and certain apartment, oh yes, of course, all of you know. It looks beautiful, but I don't like the energy. And someone else loves the energy. How is it possible? So number one, when we are talking about sending a desire to the universe, I want soulmate, I want more financial abundance, I want better friends, I want the right partner, I want the right investor, I want the investor, the apartment, the marriage, the soul that belong to me energetically. Because if not, I might get what my eyes want, but my soul rejecting it because there's no long-term circuitry. So that's step number one. There's another question which we'll get soon. Okay, how do you know what belongs to you? What do you need to do? That's a spiritual work, but that's first. Are you sure that the deal that you're running after will be a long-term blessings in your life? Don't you want to add to your conversation and openness the Creator? I want it. It looks amazing. Only if it belongs to me. Just add that. And the fact that you open yourself, I want the right energies in my life. So that's step number one. So, Elisheva?
It's interesting, Eitan, that you bring that specifically up. I'm thinking, it's a teaching I'm familiar with, and I'm thinking about a few people that I know that are struggling with different challenges where they feel they're not where they should be. Not from a reactive place, but really from a place of, I know I'm meant for bigger things. I know that my focus, even though I'm doing great over here, I feel my calling is in this area of my work, or, my point is, it's not that somebody is telling them or they have to move, really just from a desire to expand and fulfill their purpose. But at the same time, in the physical reality, they don't have the option to move to that next level, to, like you said, to receive what they think is theirs. So I wonder if we can talk a little bit about, I've even met people who they hear these teachings and they say, well, I know my husband isn't my soulmate, but what am I supposed to do about it? Right? If I didn't hear that teaching, I wouldn't even question the relationship, but I've always had a sense that he's not the one. How do we deal with situations where we know that what we have isn't the highest expression of what we could be receiving, experiencing, even contributing to? Like that sense of, I know I'm meant for more. I know my relationship could be more. I know my contribution to my field could be more, but I'm not in a position to change it right now. How do we deal with those moments?
So I think all of us have specific areas in our life that we don't feel yet totally aligned. I know about one specific basketball player that is so talented, but because he was not aligned in his team, it didn't work. The magic, he's still talented, but somehow the magic didn't work. And when we moved to another team with the right alignment, that place belonged. Now, I want to rephrase the one. Belong doesn't mean I own it. Belong means there's alignment in a soul level that I can channel my best energy. Belong doesn't mean I own it. I'm entitled. Belong means there's an energetic alignment that I can do the best. In this podcast, we're not encouraging people question where you don't feel belong and leave your husband, leave your wife, leave your partner. We're not. Because elevating the vibration until clarity where alignment will manifest itself, it's a process. It's a process. So let's look at Abram, for example. What made it clear for Abram that particular plot, that particular cave has a huge light? Because it says he entered to the cave running after a calf and he saw huge light and he saw Adam and Eve. While it was very dark physically in the cave, suddenly everything became bright. And he had communication with Adam and Eve. And by the way, he was a shepherd. He was walking around that area in Hebron many times. But it's the first time that he saw huge light. So what was the difference that suddenly he saw clearly? And by the way, then he had patience until he bought the cave many years later. And we're learning from Abram. Abram always desired to align to what belongs to him, but he knew the way to see it is not by overthinking and going to psychics and getting opinions from other people and looking at someone else that is happy. Wow, I want what they have. It's actually continue to do the work of purification every day. For example, we learned that when Abram was after the circumcision, went through a major pain, and in spite of that, he was running to continue be hospitable, serve, help. And he saw 3 people, he wanted to serve them, and that's when he ran after the calf to prepare a meal. And in that process, he suddenly saw what belonged to him. So when people tell me, I don't know, I don't have clarity, is it the right thing, is it the wrong thing, do I need to change? Maybe I need to change, because sometime if I'll change, I'll realize that the husband in front of me is the right one. I'm just stuck in my own selfishness. So, of course I want clarity in my life, and clarity comes from the Creator, but why I'm not clear in certain areas of my life? Because I'm not pure enough. How do you become pure? Am I pushing myself to do more actions of giving unconditional when it's comfortable or not? Am I working on reducing my ego? And I'm working to overcome my lazy old me and try to become new? Purifications means breaking out of the old me every day. That's one of the secrets of Abraham. Every day looks like a new day. Every day is what do I need to improve today? And when you're looking In one hand, you say, I want to have clarity. What's my next level in life, career? But at the same time, the way to get the clarity is to do the daily work of cleansing and purifications. And when you think this way, the Creator sends you tests, opportunities, opportunity to give, opportunity to let go, opportunity to overcome ego, to overcome anger, to overcome entitlement, opportunity to forgive, and so on. And each one of them, it's clearing the vague vision that don't let me see energetically, wow, I didn't see this gift. It's right in front of me. Because when people reactively running away from relationship, I don't like it anymore, and I felt amazing with that person I met in the bar, it's not necessarily a sense of clarity. It's maybe it's a little bit impulsive. Maybe it's an escape. It says about Abraham, he knew it belongs to him, but he wanted to make sure it will come towards him. He didn't jump. You have to sell it to me, because I know it's mine. No, he said, I know it's mine, and because of this, let me allow it. I'll make an effort, but let Ephron come towards me. Because a deal that really belongs to you has to show you a sign you're not just running after it, it runs after you.
There's a big, I think, aha moment. You went through it very quickly, but for me, it was very powerful that, right, the impulsivity, the I want it now. We spoke about being attached to how things happen and the process and my being attached to my schedule last week. But I feel that many times people bypass blessings that are meant for them because they're focused on a timeline and not their own process of building themselves toward receiving it. Meaning, Abraham saw the cave long before he needed it, and he could have said, I got to go after it. This is mine. This place is mine, He allowed himself to go through a process of building himself to get there. And I think that that's a very relevant thing, not only when, you see a physical thing that you want, or even a position that you want, responsibility that you want, relationship that you want, but even in your own process of, I know I can be more independent, I know I can be more responsible, I know I can be less dependent on what people think about me. Maybe I'm not there yet. What's the process? What are the opportunities in front of me right now that I can take on so that I can build myself towards that in a way that I will be able to handle the blessing that I desire so much? And I feel that self-development and strengthening process, a lot of people try to skip over because they see what they want already and they go after it. It's important, again, we're not saying that you shouldn't have goals and you shouldn't have benchmarks for yourself and strive for your next level. That's a big part of growth, is striving for the next level and the next level and the next level. But I think even last week you used the metaphor of, if you want to add another few stories onto a building, you have to first reinforce the foundation. I think that's another metaphor for building yourself, right? Purifying yourself is also building yourself toward being able to handle greater blessings. Do I realize when I look at my next level, the house or the promotion or the marriage or whatever I want, am I also willing to take on the ego that might come with it, or the negative, gossip that people are going to say about me, or am I willing to put myself out there? I'm thinking of someone who really sees clearly their next level professionally, but they're holding themselves back because of fear of how people will react. So we had a conversation about it, and I said, people are criticizing you and you're not doing anything. So what's the risk in doing more and them criticizing you? She said, well, they're not criticizing me now. And I said, how do you know? Like, your perception is because you don't hear it, people aren't judging you. people judge you no matter what you do. So all you can really do is ask the light of the Creator and take those small steps to strengthen your backbone, to not be as sensitive, to not take those things personally now, while before you get to that next level, while realizing that those small steps internally are actually building you toward being able to handle that next level. So I'm excited for everyone to be able to, on one hand, keep your eye on the prize, but on the other hand, focus on strengthening the capacity to hold that next level in a lasting and blessed way.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And there's a dangers when you run after things, then you're running from a place of lack, and you run from the place of how excited it will be if I will get that, and it's external, and you're even afraid to ask the question, Creator, does it belong to me? Does she belong? You're afraid because you just want, because there's a part of you that just excited for the external. There's a dangers. When you run after things, that's another statement of the Zohar. When you run after things that don't belong to you, it's never going to last, and you're going to lose the connection and the clarity what really belongs to you. So, of course, we're here to chase and to push. But as you said, Elisheva, what's stopping me from revealing my next is not facing that. And even the patience and the willingness to ask the question, if it's not mine, I don't want it. Imagine you're just starting dating. And I know someone that came to me and told me all the stories what he thinks she's his soulmate. After he dated that person 2 times, I said, that's amazing. It looks amazing. Are you willing to ask the question to the Creator? Please, I'm really open. I know it's a process. I'm open. I see great potential. I truly want clarity because I want to make sure I'm coming from the right place, not from lie. He told me, no, why should I ask? And he wasn't ready. And then eventually say, okay, you know what? I would ask. I'm afraid to ask. I said, because you're afraid to ask, actually it's a good indication that you're going to, because you're not asking, you're not making a decision, you're just asking the universe. So for me, it was interesting. And the fact that you are willing to ask and to surrender and to open yourself for the clarity the universe will call it, especially when you're afraid, it's a good sign that you're moving in the right direction. The process is right. And then it's amazing how 3 days later, it was so clear to him, it's not the case. They're not. You realize this, they're living in two different wavelength, 2 different frequencies completely. And he gave it a little bit of time. I said, don't react, don't jump to conclusion, give it a little time, and eventually you realize it's not this. But by the way, the fact that it's hard for you to ask doesn't mean it doesn't belong to you. It means you are allowing the participation of the light to show you the way. And that's powerful. That was Abraham. He didn't want this. He wanted endless blessings that align with his purpose in life. You don't want to settle for less. You want the best. You want endless that belongs to you. At the moment you run after endless that belong to someone else, it becomes a curse.
I love it. And I'm really excited. I love being on the receiving end of everybody's comments and feedback and realizations from every episode, because this to me feels like it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people. And I'm excited to see what it does for the world. Anything else before we sign off?
So we want actually to wish everyone and ourselves and the world, let's push to our next level, to the blessings that we meant to connect with. Jealousy is when you forget the real race. And the race is to climb the spiritual ladder of transformation, to allow The blessings that belong to us reveal themselves. So you need to think big in both ways. Big externally, but what will drive it is big internally, deep internally.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us on those platforms to receive more content to support you in what we share in every episode. You can also go to weeklyenergyboost.com to search through our archives, send us a message, read about the things we think are important for our listeners to know about, as well as click the donate button to help make Weekly Energy Boost possible. But as always, wherever you're listening, take a moment to rate, review, subscribe. This is how we reach more people week after week after week, and we have you to thank for that. And we'll see you next time on Weekly Energy Boost.